My name is Linguistic. I am a Tibetan living in London and currently studying for my Masters in Psychology. Today I am honoured to have with us Shenpenn Khymsar, a distinguished Tibetan film director, musician and overall creative inspiration who has made significant contributions to the Tibetan art scene. Firstly, thank you so much for taking the time today to conduct this interview with me.
Thank you.
Congratulations on your world premiere at the International Film Festival Rotterdam.
Thank you.
I would love the chance to ask you some questions. The first question is, so how did the film premiere go? Was it as you expected, and what was the overall atmosphere?
Firstly, thank you for having me here, and thank you to everyone that's watching. I appreciate the introduction, but you know, I don't consider myself any distinguished or anything. I'm just an artist, and so yeah. The film premiere, it went very well, actually. You know, we were all kind of surprised when the festival announced the ticket sale, when it went online.
Yeah.
Our tickets sold out in less than an hour.
Wow.
So,
That's really impressive, yeah.
so it had a good start, you know, and then on the day of the festival, obviously I was super nervous because, you know, it's like giving birth to your baby, because you've been kind of preparing, and you know, you've been kind of conceiving it for so long.
Yeah.
And in this case, I had been researching for 10 years, and then I worked. The production took 3 years, the making itself, so 13 years of my life. So finally, when you're giving birth, and you know, when the public is about to watch it, and an international audience, so it's very nerve-wracking, you know. But you know, it was great. The turnout was great. It was packed. I think people appreciated what we were trying to do, you know, because it's still a small film in the world of cinema. In the Tibetan world, I guess, I mean, it is a big film, I guess. But yeah, it was amazing.
Yeah.
And I'm a little tired right now, so I am kind of a little disoriented.
Yeah,
but yeah.
okay, yeah. And in another interview, you mentioned how ideas and projects sort of come to you rather than you seeking them out. Could you explain this a bit more in relation to this project?
So I meant that in terms of the creative part. So I write all my stuff, right? So I write, you know, the story first, and then from the story I write the script, and then the screenplay, I write the dialogues, and then I also compose the music. Well, up until now, all the short films, the documentary, and the 2 feature films, you know, I've composed all the music myself. So I feel like as a filmmaker, especially as a director, because film is a director's medium, you know, and it takes, I don't know about others, but I don't consider myself like a super talented person. For me, I had to work very hard. You know, if somebody could say, learn a song or learn how to play the guitar in 1 week, it would take me 2 months, that same thing. But I, you know, I would diligently stick to it. So yeah, you know, and because of my life, the spectrum of my life is quite, you know, expansive. You know, I've been through so many different kinds of experiences. I feel like I've lived more than a lot of, you know, 80-year-old people in terms of life experience. You know, as a Tibetan, we all have the same kind of story, at least the beginning, you know, as refugees, struggling, our parents working hard, and us going to, you know, school, and then our parents having the same kind of aspirations for us. But I grew up to be a very rebellious boy, you know, as a teenager, and then I got involved in music, you know, rock music and heavy metal music, and then, you know, it was a very, there was a lot of political unrest where I was growing up in Darjeeling. And then I came to the West, you know, I moved to the US almost 30 years ago. And then in the US, I went from washing dishes to waiting tables to mowing grasses and cutting grasses for rich white people, to working in a bank. You know, I was a banker. And then I also formed a band there again. So I've done so many things. You know, then I've been a long-time human rights activist for Tibet. So my personal life experience enriched me so much. And then all the mistakes I've made in life, all the failures I've experienced. So all of that contributes to your to your depth.
Yeah.
You know?
Definitely, yeah.
So hence, I feel like I have so much inside of me. I feel like I have so many things I want to say.
Yes.
And I think art and creativity is the best way to kind of expose that.
Yeah.
So I write. I write everything I feel. I write everything that I see or that I don't agree with, be it socio-political, socio-cultural, you know, religion, parenting, you know, whatever relationships. So I just write.
Yeah.
And I write a lot. So that's what I meant.
Yeah.
Sorry.
That's okay. That's an incredible journey.
Yeah.
And how do you think that, like, because the film is in English, how do you think this will broaden its reach and the impact that this will have both on Western audiences and Tibetan audiences?
Well, I think, I mean, unfortunately, you know, because I'm not a racist by any design, but I'm also a very proud Tibetan, right? But because of the displacement, we were kind of by default we were kind of thrown in very different kinds of environments.
Yeah.
So I had to learn Hindi, had to learn Nepali, you know, and then I went to an English boarding school, so I obviously learned English, and then Tibetan. So so when you have so many languages, you know, your cognitively, you know, there's a lot of that the elasticity is crazy.
Yeah.
But having said that, English, unfortunately, fortunately, it is the most global common language. And making the film in English was purely out of necessity. It wasn't just like, oh, I want to make it in English. I actually wanted to make it in Tibetan, but in order for me to make it in Tibetan, an authentic Tibetan, and it's a period film, so it's from 1958, right? So I needed a lot of money for that, and I needed a lot of time.
Yeah.
And my actors are all first-time actors. So I made it in English because, you know, I didn't have enough time, I didn't have enough money, because in order for me to make it the way I wanted to make it, I needed dialect coaches. Right, somebody who could speak not just Khamke, because Kham also has a lot of different tribal languages, right? Different dialects.
Yeah.
So I needed somebody who could speak Lithang Ke. I needed somebody who could speak Chading Ke. I also needed somebody who could speak Lhesa Ke. You know, and I needed somebody who could speak Amdo Ke. And my actors also need time to go through that workshop. So we didn't have that luxury. So that is the reason why I made it in English. And then obviously, as superficial as it sounds, the moment your film is in English, it automatically, unfortunately, seems to garner more kind of, for lack of a better word, like a respect, or not respect, maybe like prestige, or, you know, English, lavada, oh, it's like, a, you know, and it's kind of, I get it, but it's sad.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
But that was the reason why I made it in English, not because I wanted to make it in English. Yeah.
And now moving on to more of your influences and creative endeavors, just generally, how has working as both a filmmaker and musician helped you to develop your unique perspective on storytelling?
I don't know. I mean, you know, it isn't. See, our life encompasses of so many things, right?
Yeah.
It's like nature. You know, for example, we love spring. I mean, your London weather is terrible. Every time I come to London, it's like foggy and gloomy and depressing. Having said that, you know, when you experience rainfall, for example, monsoon season, most of us don't like it, you know, but we forget that it is because of that monsoon we have a beautiful spring.
Yeah.
Right? And then the spring, it has a, you know, and it aligns with our Buddhist principles and Buddhist philosophies of mitakpa, impermanence, you know, and then the spring goes into summer, and then where, you know, everything reaches its peak.
Yeah.
And then after summer it falls. And that's why we call it fall, you know, all the leaves and the autumn. So similarly, life is like that. You know, I have been through so many ups and downs and trials and tribulations, and I've fallen and failed, and I've made mistakes, and I've wronged, and I've hurt, and I've been hurt, and but fortunately, I've always been a very sensitive person.
Yeah.
So I think my sensitivity helped in enabling my sensibility.
Yeah.
So I think because of that, my creative process, you know, kind of became more kind of richer, or
Okay.
it's almost like I have this vault,
Yeah.
like a bank vault of, you know, multitudes of emotions where I can grab, you know,
Yeah, like dig
whatever I
into,
want. Yeah. So that's how. And then initially, music became my savior, because you know, like I said, I used to be a very rebellious young man, and like most Tibetans, I was dealing with a lot of identity issues. There was definitely an identity crisis, and then I was having my own kind of troublesome personal life,
Yeah.
my family life. So it was quite tumultuous.
Yeah.
So the only place I could find refuge was music. And that too, a very particular kind of music, which was more rock music and
Yeah.
heavy metal. So it was more aggressive. So I think that's what helped me channel my dark side, or if you
Yeah.
want to call it that, or my rage or my anger. So that's why, you know, wherever I go, I talk about the importance of creativity,
Yeah.
the importance of you know, art, because anger by itself as an emotion is not a bad or a good thing by itself.
Yeah.
You know, kindness by itself is neither good or bad. What you do with that determines what happens.
Yeah.
So what you do with that. So the ability to choose what to do with it is the education of life. And so this is how I kind of write, and
Yeah.
I'm very stoic, and I'm, you know, very much into philosophy.
Yeah.
I'm very much into psychology, clinical psychology, anthropology, literature, art. So I like to keep learning because I feel like I don't know enough. So every day I like to read, and I like to enhance my knowledge, and because I feel like there's nothing uglier than ignorance.
Yeah.
So yeah, long answer for your question, but yeah.
And I guess because you mentioned that creative expressions and creative art is so important, how do you think that this is like a form of almost resistance and empowerment within Tibetan communities or other displaced and communities
Marginalized communities? Yeah,
communities,
yeah. See, I mean, throughout history, art has probably been one of the most powerful tools
Definitely,
in expression. Art has been in the forefront of any revolution, if you look at it. You know,
Yeah.
there's always been a very big role. And that is why art has always been kind of suppressed. And then the industrial education, the evolution of industrial education has done its best to kind of, you know, to kind of submit and to kind of suppress art. And that's why even in schools and universities, you know, industrial education is always on top, right? And then, you know, the economics and science and all that, you know, engineering, doctor, art is always at the bottom.
Yeah.
It's by design. There's a reason why art is kept at at the bottom, because art, it has the ability to it has the ability to empower each and every one.
Yeah.
It has the ability to debunk a lot of nonsense that you've been fed since you were a child. It has the ability to deconstruct so much of indoctrinations that you are unaware of, that you've been victim to. And so if everybody became very artsy and very philosophical and very wise and very intelligent, then the pharmaceutical companies, they will go out of business. Governments will have problems. Religions will have to close their shops. So this is why art is so important.
Yeah.
And at the same time, no matter how much they try to suppress it, art can never be suppressed. It will always remain. And I always say art is the heartbeat of human society, art. So for me, artistic expression became my savior. And we're all artists. Yeah. We're all born creative. But as you grow older, the society, the governments, the education system, the parenting, and the indoctrinations and the dogmas of religion, they kind of clip your wings, and they will mold you into something that you're not actually. They'll mold you into something that, they want to make you like everybody else.
Yes, definitely.
Right? The flock, the herd, Yeah. So that's why art has that much power.
Yeah.
And now cinema, it is the only art form. I mean, cinema is film is the most powerful medium. The ability of it inspiring or empowering or even propaganda or whatever you want to do with it. Like I said earlier, what you do with it. Your intention is important. Your motive can be important, but what you do with that, where you're going, the trajectory of your intentions and of your life determines everything. Yeah. So cinema is the only art form in the world that has all the other art forms in it. There's writing, there's painting, there's poetry, there's music, there's design, there's costumes, there's drama, there's theater, everything is in it. There's photography, there's color. So when cinema is like an army of artists, and it takes an army to make a film.
Yeah.
So that becomes so powerful. And that's why there is censorships and there's, governments trying to stop movies, and there's even my film, it's such a small film in the world of cinema. But because it premiered at the festival and it had sold out shows and and we were telling our stories. There was no propaganda. We were not fabricating anything. Yeah. We were showing exactly what happened. But the power of cinema is such that one little cinema made, by in reality made by somebody who's nobody. Like, I'm nothing. I'm just an ordinary artist. But that film shook the Chinese government. They panicked and they started, sending out bots online, social media to kind of cloud all of that. And then they've put on their propaganda videos and YouTubes and articles. So that means that little film had so much strength and power that it made the Chinese government nervous. Yeah. Apparently the Chinese are the most powerful and they're so powerful. No. We know people have to understand that there was a time when Macedonians were the most powerful people, Alexander the Great. Now, when was the last time you uttered the word Macedonia?
Probably never.
Right? So that's how insignificant it has become. Alexander conquered half the world. And when the Roman Empire was at its peak, all the little kingdoms that it conquered, none of them actually thought that they would ever be free from them. Because most of them were, again, common-minded people. So they didn't have vision. But look at what happened today. Look at the Sopos, like Mongolians, Genghis Khan. They conquered 3/4 of the world. Look at it today, right? All those little kingdoms that they conquered never thought they would be free from the Mongolians. Look at the history, right? You look at the Spaniards, you look at the Portuguese, you look at the British. We're in England. We're one of the most arrogant, government and attitude in the world. They pillaged so much of the world. Yeah. India was under the British for 200 years, right? They had so much arrogance that the British would say the sun will never set in Britain, and the sun has set. An Indian guy is the Prime Minister of India. The richest person in Britain is an Indian, right? The unofficial national food of Great Britain, England, is
Curry.
butter chicken. What does that say? Right?
Yeah.
So we Tibetans also have to understand that China will break. It's inevitable. It is scientifically not possible for them to control a nation, a people, a history through the barrel of a gun. It's scientifically not possible. Now, from our side, we should not lose hope. We have to keep learning and equipping ourselves. We have to be artistic. We have to be creative. We have to be far-sighted.
Yeah.
We have to be visionary people. So yeah. So I'm sorry, I kind of, derailed a little bit.
Yeah.
But yeah.
And do you have any advice to younger Tibetans who want to sort of break through the creative field, or even older Tibetans who've kind of wanted to do this for a long time but had different challenges facing them?
Well, advice, I mean, I don't think I would give any advice, but I would, I like to say that please don't stop dreaming.
Yeah.
Everybody has a dream, right? You might say, no, I don't have a dream. I'm doing my master's in psychology, right? That's what you're doing, right? But honest to God, if you were given a magic wand and if you were able to design the life you want, what would you do?
Musician, probably.
Right. So that's embedded in you somewhere.
Yeah.
That's buried, right? You've buried it. So that is a nucleus of your dream. I'm just giving an example, right? So similarly, everybody, especially all my Tibetan brothers and sisters, it is so important to dream, especially for our movement, our cause, our history, and the political situation that we're in. We Tibetans desperately need dreamers. We have, but our dreams are clipped. Our dreams are dismissed and canceled in the beginning.
Yeah.
We had cancel culture long before it even started. This woke culture is nothing. We had cancel culture a long time ago. Machi machi, malab malab, atithi mat. So I urge and I request everyone to dream.
Yeah.
And then to keep your dreams alive. Protect your dream. Protect your dream. Fight for your dream. And guess what? Your dream will guide you throughout your life. It will.
Yeah.
I'm a living proof. If I can do it, anybody can do it. People used to laugh at me. When I said I would make films.
Yeah.
When I was a young boy, in my home, there was no internet at that time. There was no cell phones. There was no social media. I had never been to the West. I didn't know how to speak English very well. But I knew what I wanted to do. I knew my dream. I wanted, I saw a movie. I think I was 4 or 5 years old when I first watched a movie on a big screen. I had no idea what it was. But I just saw these moving images and sound and then we're all watching. And I'm a kid. But I knew I wanted to be a part of that world right then. And, over time, I would say, oh, I'm going to make this film. I want to do this. I want to make, music. And people would always make fun of me. Yeah. Even 13 years ago, when I was already an adult, my mom reminded me recently, and my mom said, you came with a book, Chushikandu, 4 Rivers, 6 Ranges book. And I kind of banged the table with the book. And my uncle, my agu and my ama, I said that, oh, one day I'm going to make this film.
Wow.
13 years ago.
Yeah.
I don't remember that. Later I did. So even at that time, it was so far-fetched that nobody because it was not fathomable, right? So nobody could comprehend my dream.
Yeah.
They couldn't fit my big dream in their small minds, including my family. So they wouldn't, believe. And same with friends. In my hometown in Darjeeling and Kurseong, a lot of my friend circle, they used to call me big talk, which was a negative connotation, It wasn't a praise, it wasn't a compliment.
Yeah.
Because I used to think big and I used to talk big things. I'm like, I want to do this. I want to be a film director. I want to make movies. I want to, So everybody used to laugh at me. But guess who's laughing now, right? You know, yes, you should not be arrogant and cocky and be like, only I can do it and you cannot do it, you know, and you can't, you know, subdue somebody else or, you know, limit someone else's potential and kind of, you know, diminish their, you know, their willingness to rise.
Yeah.
You can't do that. You cannot discourage them, you know, empower them, inspire them, and keep your aspirations burning, you know. So people used to laugh at me, you know, but I'm doing it.
Yeah.
So that's my, I don't like to say advice, but it's you know, whatever I'm saying it out of lived experience.
Yep.
I'm not saying it because I'm older than you. Because I've met younger people that are smarter than me, you know, and I've met older people that are dumb as hell, you know. So it's got nothing to do with age. It's everything to do with experience. So I have this lived experience. And my life has been, like I said, it has been so expansive.
Definitely.
You know, and then the kind of experiences I've had. So I urge everyone again to dream. Please dream. Please dream. We Tibetans desperately need dreamers. We need pop culture icons now. I keep saying that. We need celebrities. We need famous people. You know, look at Korea. Look at K-pop. Look at the Korean food and, you know, soft power. It is spread all over the world.
Yeah.
Right? So we Tibetans have done nothing. Innovation, in Tibetan it's called sartu, innovation. Sartu is zero ring manzo. Manzo tanda cycle chike soyo marda. We've not, you know. And how can you be innovative if you are not imaginative? If you don't imagine, you can't innovate.
Yeah.
And if you don't dream, you can't imagine. So dream, imagine, innovate, create, you know, learn, earn, and return. That's it.
Powerful message. And our last question is, with 4 of the 6 ranges, can you please tell us how it's being distributed, if it'll be any opportunities for audiences to see in cinemas or other streaming platforms?
Well, we're talking, you know, we're talking to distributions right now. So the film is only in the festival circuit right now.
Yeah.
So, and for a small indie film, it's very important to have these platforms as film festivals where we go and showcase our film.
Yeah.
And then festivals, you know, basically a market. It's a film market. So buyers, sellers, producers, all the film business people come.
Yeah.
You know, OTT platforms, you know, Netflix, Amazon, Hulu, everybody comes. Studios comes.
Yeah.
Different countries. So right now we're in that process, and we still have some festivals now left in the U.S. and other countries, and then hopefully within 6 months, you know, we'll find a distributor. But I will be personally making sure that we screen the film all over Europe, even here in England and France and Belgium and Netherlands and Germany and Switzerland, you know, everywhere, so that Tibetans can see this film too. Australia, so we're in that process, and it's not easy, you know. I will explain later in the workshop today, you know, how because filmmaking it looks so cool and glamorous. It's not. If you don't have passion, you cannot do it. It's a long process, tedious. It's a lonely journey, but you have to want it so bad. You know, I always say, you like, you know, dream, and you desperately, you know, want to do something, and you should want to do it so bad that you cannot breathe without it. And if you cannot breathe without it, you will figure out a way to breathe, you know, and then you will do it. But if you're like, oh, you know, you're ready to give up, quitting has never been an option for me.
Okay, yeah.
You know, so people will get to see the film.
Great, that's great, thank you. That concludes everything. Thank you so much for sharing your time and invaluable insights into your life, career, creative expressions, everything. Today you're leading the cinema workshop for the Tibetan community in the UK. I hope that this event encourages some really interesting and thoughtful conversation. Thank you so much.
Thank you, and I really hope, you know, everything I said will genuinely, inspire, our younger Tibetans, and I hope it'll create some sort of discussions among young people.
Yeah, I think so, definitely.
I hope it will make you at least think.
Yeah.
I hope you can sleep on it.
Yeah.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah.